My biggest weakness got exposed to the entire world. 1 month ago, I joined a wrestling camp in Dagestan. During my time there, I ended up getting dominated every single training. What I didn't expect was that those Dagestan videos would end up getting 50 million views on all platforms in 1 month. And now the entire world knows my weakness. And that is a pretty big problem. I am planning on competing again next year. And now with this glaring hole in my game, completely exposed to the entire world, people can start using that against me. But I may have found a solution.
I need to be able to prove to the entire world that my wrestling has now improved. So that's why I'm flying to Tbilisi, Georgia.
I am doing all of this because I've arranged a training with a Georgian Olympic wrestler. My idea is that if I can impress him in training, I will have definite proof that my wrestling has now improved. The country of Georgia might only have 4 million citizens, but has recently produced 2 of the most dominant champions the UFC has ever, Topuria and Merab Dvalishvili. And on top of that, they have also won 18 gold medals in the Wrestling World Championships. It's going to be my task to get the most out of this entire experience. What makes all of this so difficult is that my training with the Olympic wrestler is in 4 days. So I had no time to waste.
I know I'm not ready to train with an Olympic wrestler at the moment. That's why I'm here early in Georgia, because now I have a couple of days to train and prepare myself for the biggest training of my life.
And after a long day of traveling, it was time to go to bed. I don't have any time to waste, it's time to go to the first location. Preparing for the hardest training of my life was of course never going to be easy. That's why I've made a roadmap, starting at the airport and ending all the way at the top with the most important training of my life. I stepped in a taxi on my way to the first location. And of course, where else could I start than at a wrestling gym?
I think we have arrived. I'm not sure where I am, but we'll figure it out.
And for my first training, I was joining Wrestling Camps Georgia, a training camp designed for foreigners to come in and train under Georgian coaches. That meant that for this training, I was going to be training with the entire group, and then later at night I was going to have a second training, that time with a bunch of Georgians. Because of that, my goal for this training was to improve my technique as much as possible. Of course, you can't do it all in one training, but I knew with this training I was gonna have a lot of time to also ask a bunch of questions and to make sure that I was preparing myself for a harder training later that day. But before we continue, I want to thank everybody for the support I've been getting recently. Like you saw, I got over 50 million views on all platforms on my Dagestan series, and I went from 20,000 subscribers all the way to 55,000 subscribers. I'm trying to hit 100k subscribers, so if you can like and subscribe, you will help my dream come true. Thank you so much. We started with the first drills of the day, and it was a difficult one. If you saw what I can do in wrestling, which is of course very limited, it's mostly going for the legs, a single leg, a double leg. Upper body takedowns is just not something that I drill that often during MMA training. I'm just used to throwing a jab and then going for a single or double leg. So all of this was very new, but it is very good to learn. We also had a very good coach helping us during the training. And here you see after a while it was getting a little bit better. Now we were trying to add a punch through and then rolling through for the takedown. After my last series, everybody wanted to know how they could join the training camp themselves. That's why for this one I've made it very easy. I've added a link in the description to the website, and if you use code HUNTER you will get either free wrestling shoes or a papaja.
Alright, first part of training is done. We did some techniques, Greco-Roman style, right? Greco-Roman?
No.
Not Greco-Roman? Oh,
No,
because legs as well.
Yeah.
I think we're going to spar now. Let's see how it's going to go. It's been going pretty well so far. It's high level, good coach. I mean, that's what you get here in Georgia.
And then it was time for my first wrestling match here in Georgia. This was going to be a very important test for me. Not against a Georgian, but against somebody that had been joining the training camp. This was a good test for me for later on when I would be facing Georgians to see how good my wrestling is. Here you see me shooting down and getting a takedown. And my takedown defense at this point had also been on point. Here you see me shooting in a very sloppy takedown, but I did get it. Following through on the legs, making sure he couldn't move away. And then when he tried to get up, I followed through onto his back and then ended up getting another takedown. I was a lot bigger and heavier, so of course that's a little bit of an unfair advantage. That's why for my next match I got a bigger guy. This time once again shooting in, and I knew I can't do any sloppy takedowns, and I got another takedown. which for me was really interesting looking back, is that I feel like my wrestling has already improved. There are definitely a lot of big holes and there are certain problems which I will get into later, but there are certain things that I'm doing a lot better than I did before. When I started training with wrestling, I could do pretty much nothing, and now I'm doing some pretty okay stuff. Not good, but okay. And although this training did make me believe there was definitely a chance that I could prove the 50 million people wrong training with the Olympic wrestler in a couple of days, there was a big problem, and that turned out to be my gas tank. I was so tired at this point I couldn't do anything anymore.
Alright, we survived wrestling practice. It's a really good practice, it was tough, but it was good.
And later that day I was going to have a second training with Georgians, but first it was time to head into the capital, Tbilisi, to do some exploration.
I just had to pay 20 euros for a taxi instead of 8 because I only have bills of 100 lari, which is like 30 euros, and then he didn't have enough to change it. But I'm now in the old town. Gonna try and get some food and see what's out here.
Of course, I had to start with the most important thing, the coffee check. If the coffee is not good, it's not even worth going to the country. But luckily enough, it was very good and I enjoyed it a lot. Then it was time to explore the beautiful city of Tbilisi. I had some time for exploration and I was shocked with how Tbilisi actually is.
I'm surprised by how beautiful it is. It looks like, you know, like in an amusement park where they try and make something look old and rustic with the music and everything. This is basically that, but come to life. So I've been seeing these cable cars, and I think they're going to the top of the mountain where there's a monument, if I'm correct. So I'm gonna try and see if I can get up there. So I have a fear of heights, so might not have been my smartest decision, but I do want to see it. So this statue is called the Mother of Georgia, if I'm correct, and it looks over the city, the capital, Tbilisi. It's extremely beautiful. Next location. This is the activity I've been looking forward to the most. Let's go, let's go. Wow. This is for me as well the first time seeing it. Holy shit. That's insane. I'm gonna zoom out for a second so you can see the actual view of how massive this is. This might be my favorite monument I've ever seen. It's absolutely insane. So for this trip I ended up buying a Polaroid camera. I wanted to do it in Dagestan, I didn't. I got it now. I think it's a nice feature to, you know, maybe make an album with my Polaroid camera.
And here you can see the first 3 pictures I took. Let me know what you think of this idea in the comments. I think it's a really fun idea to show also my travels in another different way. I mean, look at this. This was absolutely insane. I could just keep walking around there and I stayed a lot longer than I expected to. I just couldn't stop looking.
I'm just like mesmerized by how beautiful it is. I think there's another view. This place is a gem. Jesus. Whoa. What a view. Alright, it's time for training number 2. The first training today was already really tough. Now we're gonna do it again. The only bad thing, and this is my fault, the hotel I booked is pretty far away, so I have to travel an hour again. I am becoming more comfortable filming outside though, so that's good. I've become a real vlogger now. Alright, I've arrived, however, I am 30 minutes late because there was so much traffic. So I gotta join quickly.
And I had arrived back at the gym where I was this morning for my second to last activity of the day. Yes, after this training I'm still gonna do one more thing, but I'll tell you that in a second. I joined back on the mat and this time there were a bunch of Georgians, which was lucky for me because I got to train with the Georgians. That was something I really wanted to do. I love going to a different country and just training with the people from the region. And I got to do this here. He was extremely good, he was young, I'm not sure what his age is, I didn't get the chance to ask him. He didn't speak English, I didn't speak Georgian, but you know what it is, we just figure it out. Wrestling or combat sports is a language in itself. You don't have to talk, you can just show some movements. As you can see him doing there, he was helping me a lot, and his wrestling was a really high level, and he was really good at explaining with just the movements and small little details. And that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to get better at the small details. I needed to improve. I only have a couple of days, so I just need to have these small specific details that will help improve my game quickly. And a bunch of different takedowns is gonna help that. So that's what we did here. Once again, going through the different movements, going to the takedowns. From every single movement, we did 2 different takedowns. One where I step back and one from the original position. So here you see me coming in and he tries to take the leg. Then the second one would be, what if I step back with my leg and then I have to get the back leg? That was really interesting to try and do. And here you see me getting the leg, and I kept trying to take him by the knee, and he was showing me how I should take it from the ankle, and that works a lot better. And here you see us freestyling some takedowns, shooting in single to double leg, getting on the inside. I immediately went to the double leg. Maybe not, what the drill was, but I wasn't sure at that point. Beautiful takedown by him, such good fluent movement, going down, up and high, and now a really difficult takedown, going for the back leg. That's not a takedown that I am really good at, as you can see. And then for one of my last takedowns, a fireman carry to the ground, which I didn't do perfect, so I had the coach helping me explain it, and he does it with ease, no problem. Then my time, and I didn't posture up enough that it went well. And then we tried one more takedown, but we tried in the morning, and it went okay-ish. At least he managed to fly a little bit, but I think it was also a little bit of a spectacle, and he told me it was not that good. One of the people training here was the man in the blue t-shirt you see in the back. He is a silver medalist at the Europeans, and he trains here. That's how high level this gym actually is. You just have on a random gym here in Tbilisi, Georgia, a person that is medaling in the Europeans in wrestling. Here you see me doing another takedown, and once again I was strung a little bit. This is not something that you do with MMA, of course, and I tried to throw him backwards, but that was apparently not the move. We had the coach step in, 1 or 2 moves, he was like, nope, just step there and then you fall backwards, and then I managed to do it good. I mean, maybe not good, but I managed to do it. Let's keep it at that. The coach seemed to be happy with it, so it was good enough for me. Another takedown. And here you see his acknowledgement that at least it went well. I had no clue what he was saying. He was talking in Georgian the whole time, but we could make it work. But then it was time for the moment I had been waiting for. It was time for wrestling. And wrestling with a Georgian was going to be a very good next step. This was going to be a huge chance for me to show what I can do. We started wrestling, and my goal was to be a lot more active than I used to be. That was one of my problems in Dagestan, was that I just was not active enough. I was waiting and I wasn't really fighting. I knew if I wanted to be better, I needed to be first. I needed to be active. I needed to feint. I needed to make him react. I needed to have some aggression, and not in a bad way. I just needed to try something. I need to make him work. Here you see me getting a double leg, and then I tried to make it work, clamp my hands, but he could manage to posture up. Then I just kept going. I knew I wasn't gonna give up, and I managed to get a takedown, which was almost a shock to myself as well. We got back up standing, once again from the wrestling position. He shoots low, and this time my sprawl was not that good. His shots were so good that I just couldn't sprawl at my legs, and my reaction time was not good enough to try and make it work. But I was not gonna give up. He had my leg, but eventually he did get a takedown. Here you see me once again shooting in for a takedown, and then the time was up. Another round, I shot in for the takedown on the single leg, tried to pull him back, and onto the double leg takedown. This was a takedown I was really happy with, especially looking back. Here you see me one more time shooting in, and I couldn't make it work. And then he shot in for a beautiful takedown, a double leg, managed to lift me up, and then slam me to the mat. My shoulders had still not touched the mat, so that meant that I could continue fighting. I stand up, I wasn't gonna give up, and I didn't have to, and I got out of the position. Not for long though, and then he got another takedown. But at least I did well up until that point, until he got that beautiful double leg takedown. And the longer it went on, the success from my earlier round started to get away. I was gassed, I didn't really do what I had to do, I was making bad decisions, and then of course I had to go another round. And then at this point my problem from training number 1 came back. I was gassed, I had no energy left. I was extremely tired, and then I had to come up against a new opponent who was fresh. And at this point I just had nothing left in the gas tank. I knew I had to keep fighting, I just couldn't. I tried to do the same thing again, trying to catch the legs, but it didn't work. He managed to throw me around, and he was just so quick and he was fast. My arms were gassed, I had nothing left in the gas tank. I was making bad shoots. And then of course I just face planted right into the mat. I know you want to see it again. He shoots in, I try to sprawl, and I mean, yeah, that I guess that summarizes how I felt at that point. I was just face planted into the mat, he could just take me down whenever he wanted, and then it was the end of the training. I did a lot better than I expected, but there were some big problems.
Very tough training. I was late, but still I managed to get a lot of rounds in. This time against Georgians, which was completely different. I did notice two things. One, my cardio is absolutely trash, and it's a lot worse than it was in Dagestan, and I'm not sure why that is. My cardio is usually pretty good, but I don't know, maybe I'm higher now. I'm from the Netherlands, where we're below sea level, so it's a big difference from what I'm used to. And I think the other thing is that I need to really immerse myself in the culture, the people, the surrounding that I'm in. Like, I need to take something away from that. That's one of the good things about traveling, is that you take something away from the place that you're in. But besides all of that, I am now heading to a Georgian traditional restaurant. In terms of immersion, this is probably going to be a good start.
And then I was on my way to a traditional Georgian restaurant for a late dinner. I had already eaten some Georgian food. I had tried khachapuri and kinkali, which I had in Dagestan. So I sat down for some dinner. One of the fun things about this restaurant was that there were also a lot of traditional dances. There was music, there were dancers, there were shows the whole time. So it was good to keep me entertained and also to just get a taste of what Georgia is actually about. It's a country from which I didn't know a lot before coming there.
They are constantly playing music, so I can't film the whole time because you can't hear me. I ordered kinkali again. First time I ate kinkali was in Dagestan, and I said it wrong. And then I got kakali, which I never got, but I really wanted to try it. And people made fun of me the whole time for the way I ate it. I've read all your comments. There was a lot. But once again, dolma, or dolma dakyas, however you want to call it. The last time everybody wanted to claim that dolma is from their country. Armenia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Iran, everybody claims dolma. Greek, I personally know it as dolma dakyas from Greece, but everybody has their own interpretation of it. I mean, call it what you want, that dip is tzatziki. That's Greek if you ask me, but probably people in the comments are going to be correcting me that tzatziki and it's not tzatziki and it's something else, but hey, can't be perfect.
And before it was time for some resurrection with my kinkali eating habits, it was time to watch another show, a male dancer and a female dancer doing some different kind of dances. But then it was time for kinkalis. I was somewhat surprised that there was not a top though. When I did my research in how to properly eat a kinkali, I was told that you take it by the top and then you eat it and then you leave the top. But this one didn't really have a top, so I took a small bite and I sucked all the juice out of it and then took a big bite. I am not sure what type of kinkali I got. I just asked them to give me whatever they wanted, and so they gave me a different platter with, I think it was a couple of different ones, but for some reason they were spicy and I just can't remember that from the last time, but maybe I don't know, ordered a wrong one. So then it was time for my second one, and I ordered quite a lot of food for one person, so that was going to be a bit of a problem, but I just had to continue. Then onto the third one. I knew if I wanted to be a real Georgian, I needed to eat every single kinkali. This was going to be my transformation moment. If I could eat every single kinkali, I knew I was ready. I ate and I ate and I ate until I just couldn't anymore. I tried my best, but unfortunately I did fail and I couldn't eat every single kinkali. To be fair, I also ordered some other meats and I had the dolma dakyas in the beginning.
I really tried my best, but unfortunately I am not good enough. Apparently 7 kinkali is the max. As a Dutch guy, I prefer not to throw food away, but I just can't finish it. I'm getting nauseated. For some reason, also spicy. I don't know if that's normal, but last time I ate it, they were not spicy, but I'm burning my mouth as well.
And with that, a very fun night came to an end. I had been traveling all day, 2 very hard training sessions, traveling the city, seeing different stuff, and then also a dinner on top of that. But I did make a lot of progress. However, if I wanted to be ready to train with an Olympic wrestler, there was still a lot I had to do. I had 72 hours to change my life. I was going to have to do a full immersion into the culture here if I was going to make this work.
Man, what a day. What a day, what a day. I have zero energy left in my body, but this was such a fun day, but it really showed me that there's still so much for me to improve on. And, you know, the clock is ticking. I need to get better now. Tomorrow is going to be a very important day. I'm gonna do a lot again.
In the next episode, I'm taking you with me into my hard training camp for my training on the last day with the Olympic wrestler. We are going to do a lot of different things and tackle every single problem that I have. One of the biggest one is of course my cardio. I have to find out where that is coming from. That's why I'm going to do a VO2 max test to see if that is the problem behind my cardio issue. And then after that, I'm going into the city Tbilisi to discover what being a Georgian is actually like. I'm gonna try and take as much away from it as possible to make sure that I am ready to face every single challenge coming on later in the series. I want to thank everybody for watching this series one more time. If you can like and subscribe, you will help me out so much. Can we hit 100k subscribers? And I hope to see you back in the next episode. Oes!